If the PCT could be fairly sure that one of the surgeries was going to go bust, then this becomes less of an illogical solution to the problem. And here's our collection box in the surgery, which has helped keep us going. It's been here a while and we've had a few trouser buttons and sweet wrappers, of course. And the largest donation we've had was a cheque for £1,000 from a grateful patient. Here's a piece about it in the Inquirer, which I gather the Malden South Chelmsford PCT wasn't too happy about. They sent down an imaginative young photographer. And he was keen to get away from the GP answering the phone, GP wearing stethoscope pictures that are the norm for the local press. Had a certain amount of press coverage. Here's Dr. Grumpy in Doctor newspaper. And here's the April the 19th edition of the Daily Express with an article about GPs being overpaid in the wake of the announcement that some were getting in excess of $250,000 a year. Here's the gist of it. I've got over 2,000 patients and work a 7-day week. Last month we got a cheque for under £9,000 with which we had to pay for everything at the practice. But as ever, there are winners as well as losers. One of the winners, of course, being Mr. Mike Harrison. There are compensations for being so woefully underfunded, however, one being I got a big cheque from the Inland Revenue. However, the tax rebate was short-lived. I should be getting seniority payments to the tune of over £2,000 a quarter. But because I've been paid so little, I won't get a penny from July 2005 to September 2006. And even then there'll be a clawback of what's owed to me. So I'm effectively being fined by the NHS for being underpaid. So when I'm asked if GPs earn their money, I can put my hand on my heart and say, well, I certainly do. Here's another article, this one about the government's vendetta against small surgeries, with a mention of the fact that we provided a free service for our patients for over 4 months. Meanwhile, the NHS management had its eyes firmly on the priorities. Perhaps this cartoon taken from the Times has got it just right. Greenwood surgery isn't the only place to have financial problems, however. They're nationwide, they're throughout the NHS, and they certainly extend throughout the Malden and South Chelmsford PCT area. Here's a letter from the PCT to GPs asking us to cut our drugs budget. Signed by Dr. Caroline Dollery, who's a GP at what was the Lee House surgery, the surgery that absorbed the Hoppit patients. And as I say in the first paragraph, she encloses a recent statement from Mike Harrison. This is it then, a tale of doom and gloom. The profligate waste of the PCT has resulted in an overspend of £3.1 million. And it looks as if he's planning to cut back on patient services. Here's a story from the Essex Chronicle, November the 10th, 2005. We're putting more money into the health service, and yet as far as Greenwood surgery is concerned, things have never been so bad. As far as Mr. Harrison is concerned, however, things are jogging along pretty well. This is the salary. And over the page we have the pension entitlements. So at least we have some cause for celebration. So this is a story of, on the one hand, profligate waste, The PCT admitted to burning through £312,000 in a 6-month period alone. That was on his own surgery. Here's our quality awards poster entry, which tells a different story. During the same 6-month period, we received some £22,000 from the PCT, which is a vast difference. The PCT-run surgery ended that 6-month period with some 4,000 patients. We ended that 6-month period with approximately 2,000 patients. So that doesn't account for it. Patient numbers doesn't account for the vast disparity in funding. We've managed to provide some sort of service to our patients with the help of our wonderful voluntary staff who turned up when the PCT decided they weren't going to pay anything for Greenwood surgery for over 4 months. And we didn't kill or maim anyone when the Malden PCT removed our patient records. They removed our electronic records by telling the software company in Practice Systems that I would be moving to the PCT-run surgery, and we've got hard evidence of that. We've even got audio evidence of that. By deception, in other words, by making out that I would be moving when all the PCT members present at the meeting knew that I wasn't going to go. There was no question of it. So that's interesting. And going back to the funding, the rumour was when the PCT gave Greenwood surgery the go-ahead to restart, as they saw it, although of course we'd provided a continual service throughout that time, they did so on the basis that it was a poison chalice, that the budget they gave us was a recipe for disaster, that we were programmed to go bust. And certainly all the figures we've seen since that time support that view. Well, on the one hand, this was a fairly unsubtle thing to do. On the other, it was a stroke of genius. Nobody would believe that a PCT would set up a practice in the hope that it would fail. Just as nobody would believe that anyone would set up a school, say, or a hospital, knowing that it was going to go bust. The seniority payment factor has counted against them, however. No other single-handed GP in the entire NHS is going to experience a withholding under normal circumstances. So this is by way of an admission by the PCT that Greenwood surgery is the most woefully underfunded practice in the entire NHS. So you'll understand my irritation when people send me cartoons like this one.